What's up guys, I'm back in the classroom, in the OG videos. I just want to do a lot of them. I want them to be high quality now and be at my own because the sound audio is very trash. But in this video it will be special. A summary of a lot of stuff that I talk about. So I hope you see all the boards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stuff. So I'm gonna talk a lot in this video. Gonna try to be as concise as possible, but still a very hard concept there. But you can see, I think I talk about all of those concepts. So let's get into it. So I mean my third video, or the first video that is posted right now, my oldest, is about the hierarchy, cycle, and duality. And now I'm gonna talk about them, the verticality of things, the horizontality of things. Really to go back to how we really an experience, really anchor us into experiences, how we see things fit into reality in our perception, how we grasp things, and kind of more an experiential fashion, like I said, more associating that with some kind of concept, kind of have a grounding and also a metaphysic, very powerful tools, let's say. So yeah, so the vertical of the triangle, the horizontal of the cycle is a circle, but still in terms of actually horizontal, and it's more feminine. I don't know if you will see, but I say the words, remember it. And no, it's kind of more the archetype of the triangle, because the triangle is more subtle, it's a construction, it's also vertical, the ascension is more masculine. Or the cycle of thing, the renewal is more feminine. More the unconscious can be more seen as that. Less of a construction, triangle is more a construction, and then position of language. Symbolism, very in line with that. And the duality, oftentimes the most profound duality is masculine, feminine, to some degree. I kind of like to do that, associating that with both of them, kind of the duality in the middle, okay, masculine, feminine, and now they transcend. They are the relative. So it's like good or bad, savior's demon, kind of attention game that we do our life, dividing content, wow. But we have to transcend them, and transcend them actually do that, which at the top will be the absolute. Kind of outside of the survival game, kind of stuck in the survival game, reactive state, and the relative, and duality. Duality is a fight, no coins, no PS, neutral, it's more scientific alike, trying to be neutral, kind of, not, but duality is more there's more a charge to it, more a fight, and relationship would be more, they go together. And the transcendence, absolute, the top. That you make peace of your duality, and how they can come together. It's more the non-dual aspect about reality. But the non-dual, some people might think the non-dual is more real than the dual, but both have to coexist. So the fuller version, the fuller vision, is actually to see both. So some people that are just about that, they're actually dumb. Sorry. But most people are actually just stuck in that. So people that only say that are still very insightful, because they remind people to not just do that. But if you're only that, you're also kind of dumb, to be honest. But oftentimes when you realize that, that is kind of embedded into it, but there's some types that still have some problem with it, the non-dual, I would say. If you're super NF or NI dumb, if you're just about the non-dual, it will be problematic, to be honest. But yeah, so that's it for this one. I did a video about that. Now the triangle of OPS, the second topic. Now this one is very complicated. I just did a video very recently. But yeah, the point of the triangle is more the OI at the top. So it's more the unity. So it's really the unity that you have to remember. Really the DI, OI. Kind of don't matter which side of the triangle they are, but still the decider side and the observer side. And the fundamental about that is unity. While the bottom is multiplicity. And there is the OE. Put the OE at the right and the D at the left. So it's more the decider part of things there. While the right side is more the observer. And yes, and that's why, you know, the first two in the stack have to be opposite, because it's kind of a balance of psyche. So it's like if you have Y dominant, you have the E as a savior as well. Not saviors because it can OPS change that. No, it's not strictly the first two. You can have the third as your savior and stuff like that. But in the stacking wise, to remember the stack anyway, to remember the psychic balance, it's really to have both of them, which will encapsulate the triangle, the whole triangle, and you know that kind of balance things out. And the triangle, you know, I do a lot of triangle, but it's really useful for symbolism to have all the representation fast in your mind. Like multiplicity is the horizontal, is the spectrum, is at the bottom, while the unity at the top is vertical. You know, so you can grasp things very fast actually. That's why I do it, and you know, it's really charges and kind of be embedded in your experiences of the world, because kind of you have more association, more embedded experience that is more concrete also. When you integrate the geography, the geometry of things, of that thing in your experience, kind of okay, like even like yeah, I mean everything to be honest, but it can be hard to see, but yeah. So psychic balance. So the info dominant will have the psychic balance, you know, like the DI, OE. So consume and blast, they are ambivert animal. I call them ambivert animal. You know, info animal still. You know, maybe I don't know if I should write it, but yeah. They are ambivert animal. And that is a triangle of OPS. We need to have that in mind. And universally, now I talk about universal a lot. I talk oftentimes about three different sides of universal. It's like the one that people talk about the most is really that it's applicable to a lot of things. It's more universal, okay? More applicable to a lot of things. Now, you know, objective can be, you know, applicable to a lot of things without subjectivity. That you know, is actually that we can grasp and that is something. But me, I just noticed that people are not really precise with their language, all that. I try to be more precise. So universal is more like NF. It's more like a spectrum of the NF in some sense. So that's kind of the first definition of universal. The other one is more like the center of the quadrants about reality. But maybe with time I will change the word because it kind of seems complicated. But yeah, there's also that. It's more very complicated, the second universal that I'm talking about. And the third one is more like common sense is NF. So it kind of goes with the one actually. Merge them, but I noticed that I kind of have this different definition about universal, and I should get more precise to it. But yeah, universal across the spectrum of the NF, it's kind of okay. Like, where is intuition in the spectrum of the NF in the triangle? Is it unity? Is it multiplicity? You to think about. So, I mean, there's really a universal with that. It's more like a sensory. You think it's extroverted in the universal or introverted? It's actually extroverted. So there's kind of stuff like that. And even like consume, blast, play, sleep. It's like they can all gather information. But the universal of gathering information is OE. So it's kind of, you're more aware of levels if you know universal now. So it's like, yeah, you're just better aware of that. And it can take practices, being more embedded in your experience, more aware of the levels, the triangle. In my sense, that's how I come to understand that more. So I think that's probably the way for other people to understand that more too. Just to wrestle with a lot of things and notice the kind of different side of the universal, the precise, exterior, interior, how it fits with all that. But I will talk about that later. But that's the triangle. Yeah, and universal, you can see that no M and T is more at the top, while the SF is more at the bottom. But it depends in observation and decision. Observation is more NF at the top and S at the bottom. Decision is also the same thing as the real triangle of the thing. Can I say, okay, we are all decider to some degree? It does align that the triangle in of itself and universal align with the triangle of decision. So it's kind of, okay, like we're all decider. Kind of understand it that way actually, and it does align, so yeah. The third one, this one I talk about maybe 2 videos about that. Like behaviors mechanic, so it's more horizontal, while the cognition instinct is more vertical. We're just aligned with the deeper structures, like okay, what is the foundation of it? It's really started with instincts, and cognitive functions, like it should have been instinctual function actually, and we can associate that in universal with some kind of levels about it. So it's more instinct is more FI alike, cognition more TI alike. Now I think you cannot see that, but and mechanics more TI alike, and behavior is more FE alike. So there's still universal association with that, with the different levels, and they represent very well the different system, the different blind spot, and all that, and they go end in end with the axis in my sense. So oftentimes you can see, okay, this person, that's why he's missing that, because he has the other axis, or he's kind of, you say, okay, like he should be aware of his of a certain level, but he's not, because he's using a certain method that kind of has a blind spot about certain levels. So kind of understand it in both ways, that okay, the method and also the type of personality being attracted to certain type of level, certain type of system that does that. So that's how I see it. Next thing is the deeper structure, and behavior is the more shallow, let's say, or the more apparent. And behaviors to cognition create a cognitive system, while mechanics to instincts more motivational system. So it's harder to do a very good instinctual to mechanics system, I would say. It's really hard to do that, and it's easier to do some kind of instinct to mechanics that sort of makes sense. While the cognition to behaviors can be very good for abstract scaling, and kind of have a end and a beginning and end process, but the middle can be very hard to grasp, and oftentimes it's not really good. It's more something to do after the instinctual to the mechanics. Or in certain fields it's actually the contrary, that you cannot really do the instinct to mechanics. So it's actually depend also on fields and on that. So it can be very complicated, but I talk about some of that in some of my videos, so watch them if it's not clear. And yeah, the fourth one, this one, it's more like a mixed bag of the left of things, like connecting the instincts of Enneagram with Freud, second topic, with the Sternberg triangle. So it's more like my compatibility theory. So yeah, it's not really. It's pretty. It depends on context and all that, and there's also a lot of differences with the background, conscious awareness level, economical level, stuff like that, and just like journey and all that. So it's kind of depend, but there's still a triangle that I map out. So no, I don't have a lot of place to write on that, but there's a super ego. So that's Freud. The social, the instincts in Enneagram, while the bottom right, the ego of Freud, and the self-preservation of Enneagram. I'm not sure if you can see it. Oh yeah, you can see. And this one would be the id of Freud, and the sexual of Enneagram. Now I might not have the best definition about those. Like in some of my videos, I think they are okay, but they're not the best. On the spot, just talking, and I didn't write a script about that. But I do think that the architecture of the triangle with that is very useful, and actually, very practical actually. So yeah, superego, social, it's more the intimacy and Sternberg, While the id sexual is more the passion in Stenberg. While the ego self-preservation is more the commitment in Stenberg. And now you can associate types with particular place and particular dynamics. You can say, okay, maybe it's more Pata-like, the commitment, okay, much more the communication part, the sexual act, or the passion. It's still more than that. No, I don't have the best definition, like I said, but you can still just the architecture is very good, and I do think that it do associate with sexual very well, do associate with passion very well. I think that just those three systems do align very well together, and they're put at the same place, and they're both like three parts, not like two parts like most things. So it's more a three-part system that associate them together that do match up. I think they will express themselves very well in universal, and they are very big fundamental categories like the OE, DE, and all the human needs and the letters. Also letters like the NT, the top, and the SF at the bottom. So and those particular relation with that, depending on the place you are in the triangle, and all that. Comparing to other people. So I do have a math about that, but I will not really dive into that in this video because it will be just too much complicated, and I don't have so much space. So so now the fifth, it's more also the four quadrants. Now that I kind of talk about that a little bit, like the precise, universal, exterior. It's more like four big bucks to put things into that really help you kind of navigate, I would say, how content are, where the contents are, and kind of different sides, like SIing the any, I would say, like a different lens to see at a certain subject, a certain problem. So sometimes you go about it, and that's actually what really helped me see universal, I would say, because I'm like, okay, this thing does go there, but it does have a dynamic, a process that is influenced by all that. So to isolate that in one thing, it's not really true. It's more contextual, and in some sense, like the process of it was within all the quadrants, because they all exist, so they will all manifest, and they will all be there, but they can still be isolated at a particular level. So I think that's also what made me more aware of some type of universal that people might not really get really fast, but there's that. And in my sense, the middle would be kind of the second definition I have about the universal, that it's applicable to all levels. So there's kind of this universal in one of my definition. This one is kind of the second universal, and the third one is more like the common sense. It's an NF. It's like objectivity is more like the good ST. Maybe symbolic is the good NF, and universal is more like the applicability of the NF everywhere, more the common sense of it to some degree. So that's more very fast. But precise interior is more your innate self-assessment, all that. Precise exterior is more society. Universal exterior is more like love and experience. While the interior universal is more, I guess, universal archetypes, stuff like that. So, and I connect them together, so it's a very big system, I would say. Like they connect. It actually does kind of mandala, like the vision of Carl Jung, basically. Like the archetype of the self would be all the system in a way, or the collective unconscious. So very like that, very useful actually. Very good self-construct system, I would say. A good foundation for a good self-awareness system. It's really that, basically. I wasn't aware actually that some people write that. And the fourth quadrant really aligned with my system. I was like, oh shit, so Ken Wilber with the 4 quadrants really aligned very well with the 4 quadrants, and also Cardan did write it in some of his book thing, but if it's a different, I think it's like unitemporal and temporal, or vice versa actually. So yeah, very good thing actually. I mean, in my estimation, and I think it's really good foundation for our self-awareness system. And the 6th one, now it's more like kind of, I think that within duality, we have some kind of development with it, so we want to be extreme about it, we want to balance it, we want to leverage it in a way, more meta-like, or we want to express it in all different way, in action. It's more the doing part of things. And this kind of a conception I had before the social type. And when the social type came up, I was like, okay, they do align perfectly actually. And yeah, extreme would be social one. They're very volatile. Volatile, extreme, go all in. Very much like an extreme dynamic that I had previous to social type. Balance is very social 4. And meta is very social 3. And doing is very social 2. So they did align very well to my development in the duality before I knew social type. So very cool. Nothing to say much more about that. I would say like I had a good video about it. You should watch it. Yeah, we think dualities. The balance more like two dots like pinging back together. It's the social 4 like the balance narrative. Okay, to integrate you just have to balance. Well, the social one is like, okay, to conquer things, you have to go all in on that. It's really aligned with the extreme. So instead of just going back together very close, it's more like swings, like that, to express the intensity of some stuff. Not to say the social one are always intense and all that, but they do have the extreme of, like canalizing energy toward a certain things. That's why the extreme is also more, like extreme balance are more energy alike, like a kid, all the energy goes there, the energy balance itself out, the ping back, even the balance, like ping backs with like friends, so like just with the word balance, you understand that this person ping back a lot. So I think that I really narrowed down the right word actually for the right dynamic. Method doing, I think that it can be better maybe. But I think that a lot of people actually don't understand what they specialize and they generalize, and they just talk about it in the workforce or something like that. So yeah, I'm like, okay, fine, like specialized, generalized, whatever, but you actually don't understand. Well, the method doing, I think they really, method leverage thing, go beyond the thing, try to go up, down, bottom, like trying to kind of find a way to leverage one thing without different sort of fashion, and yeah, to commit, to think, to honor the thing. It's more like meta. You honor the thing. That's why meta also. They're more into the system because they honor the thing. They go beyond the thing. So it's more abstract in the sense of the liking the system. What they're doing is more like liberty, doing a lot, expansion of the doing in their development, which is more social too. Going shotgun alike, and not really honoring the thing. It's more about productivity, and they do align with some type of worldview. They do align with a type of worldview, and people are still not aware of it, which is pretty funny. Which is for another video. So now the 7, more the force and mediation. Now they go with the axis. So mediation is more being aware of levels, and anchors. I think the conclusion is in horizontal. So you will know a particular level and you say, yeah, that's it. It's more unsettled, it's more flowy, it's more abstract, it's more balanced and meta. While force is more like a bunch of different vectors, different kind of ways. They kind of analyze the horizontal of things to conclude and the verticality of things. While the mediation is more like they analyze the verticality of things to narrow down the horizontality of things. So force is more settled, it's less abstract, it's more action-alike, it's more extreme-alike, and yet they do align with some axis. So the force is more SCNI and TFI, and mediation is more FETI and Voilà. Well, I write so much on the board, but that's the 7 stuff that I want to talk about. There's much more to say about, but I want this video to be kind of a summary of all of the things I talk about. Kind of going back to the OG roots. So I don't think I will do a lot of video like that, like at the board. I prefer at home where the audio quality is better, where I just prefer to do interviews actually. And I want to do series, so you will see series soon. I have 2 series planned. I mean, it's my free week now. I finished my exam, so free week I might post the video that I already filmed and do the interviews. And after we will have some kind of series, and sometimes I will go at the bar, but it's very rarely. It will be more to do videos like that, like a 25 to 30 minutes that I ramble about, kind of things that I want to summarize and go back into. It's more like a summary, I would say. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and have a great one.